welcome to another exciting edition of Are You Garbage? The show where you find out if your favorite comedians are classy individuals or absolute trash. Now, here are your hosts, Kevin Ryan and H. Foley.
Hey, everybody out there, and welcome back to everybody's favorite podcast. This is Are You Garbage? It's that little show we sit down with your favorite comedians, and we find out if they grew up to be classy, or if they're just a big old piece of trash. Trash. I'm your host, H. Foley, coming at you on a beautiful day. We're out back here at Tootie's in the new edition. She's upstairs sleeping one off.
Okay.
In the bathtub.
All right, good for her.
To each his own. My co-host is coming at you from right next to me. He is the CEO of Are You Garbage? He is an international businessman with international taste. Give it up for KJ, Kevin James Ryan.
I like that one, baby. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in.
Likes the European broads.
That ain't lying. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. Full video available on YouTube. As you know, those numbers are
True to Riv.
cooking, baby. Then obviously the greatest website of all time, www.patreon.com/RUGarbage, baby. Sign up over there. There's about 13,000 people signed up already. Check it out, gang.
And how about a nice quick shout out to our producer extraordinaire, the old magic man. Makes us all look good. Works the ones, the twos, the threes, and the fours. He crosses the T's and he dots the I's. Give it up for T-Bone McScruffins, Toby McMullen, everybody.
What up, boys?
Hey,
What up,
pal?
T-Bone?
I'm stoked. I'm so excited to meet this guy.
I know.
Talk about a guy who looks like he'd be right at home sliding out underneath a car.
Carburetor's blown.
Have that ready in about 2 weeks. Gang, the long hair ain't lying because we couldn't be more excited to have our incredibly, and I mean incredibly special guest here with us today for the first time. He is a very funny, very successful stand-up comedian, actor, and podcaster, and you might have seen him in, but not limited to. You got Laughs, you got Jimmy Kimmel Live, you have Comedy Central, Lights Out with David Spade, Stand Up Nashville, The Tonight Show, The Stand-Ups. You can hear him regularly on the Nate Land podcast. He has his own unbelievable podcast. We're having a good time, and he's got a brand new Netflix special out right now in the top 10. Working Man. Give it up for Dusty Slay, everybody. Let's go.
All right.
There he is. The kid's in town.
Hey, thank you. We're having a good time. I appreciate you guys. What a great intro. You know, I've only listened to the podcast. I've never watched you. It's really fun to watch you guys.
We get into it, baby.
Yeah, that was fun.
The rest is downhill, but with the first 90 seconds, we're swinging for the fences, baby.
Yeah, you guys are like so good. Like it's a real professional thing, and it feels good.
Thank you, buddy. We're excited to have you. Give us
man.
the origin story of Dusty Slay. Give us the backstory.
I would like to say you are one of the most requested guests
Yes.
we've had in a long time. So
All right,
I know there's a lot of dirt under their fingernails. I'm
it's not
very
for your
excited.
pedigree, I
Well,
don't think.
I don't know what it says about me that people are like, you gotta have this guy on the Are You Garbage podcast.
You want to see trash.
Yeah.
You guys haven't seen shit yet. Get Dusty up there.
Well, okay. Well, this is great. You know, everybody loves to talk about themselves. That's what's great about this job that I have, where I just do things and they go, "Tell me about yourself," and I'm like, I love this.
Yeah.
This is like a date where you like get to do what you want to do.
Sure. You don't care about what they did for a living, know where they went to school.
Yeah, just
This
bowling.
is fun, man. I love that.
Okay.
Well, I grew up in Alabama.
Okay.
My parents got divorced when I was 2.
Okay.
And, then my dad says 3 sometimes.
You really got to squeeze that extra year out of you.
You know,
He hung in there.
I wrote 2 jokes. I put a joke on each album about how my parents got divorced when I was 2, and then my dad was like, you got divorced when you were 3. And I'm like, well, all right,
we're splitting hairs here. Yeah.
I don't know
Go
why
back
you're-
and reshoot, Pop.
I don't know why you're. That's what my dad does. My dad's a real nitpicky guy. He loves to get at you. You go, like I was at home at his house this over Christmas, and we were ordering Subway, and I don't really eat Subway anymore, but my dad loves it.
Okay.
They know him down at the Subway.
That's
now.
all the time we have today, folks.
And
Big Christmas dinner, huh?
and I'm not eating it in a long time. And they were like, "What kind of bread do you want to get?" And I was like, "I remember there was like a Parmesan oregano bread."
There was.
And I was like, "I'll have that." My dad goes, "Why can't you just eat regular bread?"
First of all, I don't think any of it's bread.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just picking from the options that the
Coming in
restaurant.
here with your Hollywood tastes.
Yeah. It's like they have, and of course
it's
they
on
didn't
the board,
they didn't have it anymore, and I was like, of course.
Can I get that in a sushi roll? Is it possible?
Okay.
And then my dad ordered pepper jack cheese, so I was like, oh, look at you.
Someone hit the
Fancy
daily
cheese.
number. Pepper jack cheese.
You thought it was European.
I've been watching a lot of Nat Geo.
Yeah, my dad gets excited about it. He likes to get the foot long, and then he eats half that day, and then the next day he's telling me how the flavors sit in.
It does. It does, though.
I mean, maybe it does.
It really comes together overnight in that refrigerator or left in the microwave, either one.
But I'm just like, you're really selling me on this Subway that I quit eating 10 years ago.
Sure, yeah. You got to get back in there,
I
baby.
mean, Subway had a moment.
Sure.
But
Okay, so Alabama.
So my dad lives on a farm, and he lives on the same farm that he was born in. His dad built his house in 1947.
Wow.
And he lives there.
How many acres are we talking?
He's got about 100 now.
Whoa, 100 acres in Alabama.
Is he selling it off, or is he buying more?
He's trying to buy more, you
Okay.
know. He's like, over the years, he's bought both of the houses on either side of him and the land that connects. So now he has
pretty good.
some rental houses.
What's he growing on there? Is he growing anything?
Just cows is what he does.
Really?
Black Angus cows.
Really?
Yeah, now he's got some chickens. He used to have
Man, I love you.
he used to have an orchard where he had a lot of apples that his dad planted. His dad died in 1966, and he had all these apple trees that he planted. And then one day my dad just bulldozes all the trees, and I go, what are you doing? He goes, I got tired of cutting around them.
Hey, I can't argue with the logic.
I'm like, you
got to get the weed whacker out every 10 feet.
He's doing it with a push
I'm
mower.
like, your dad's trees that have been there for 40 years?
That's crazy.
Talk about out with the old.
Yeah.
What have you done for me
What does he
lately?
do with the cows?
He just raises them and then he sells them.
For
To
beef
like
or for
For
dairy?
beef, well, I guess he just sells them to a cattle auction.
Okay.
And then whatever they do with it is out of his
Show
he
business,
won't-
whatever.
He won't get me a cow. I'll tell you that. I told him that I was like, why don't you get a cow and I'll split it with you.
Okay.
And then he goes, well, everybody wants to split a cow, but there's all this money that goes into
Kids
it. You
these
gotta,
days.
Yeah, you got to do this. And then I go, well, all right, well, just get me a number and I'll pay, you know. And then he's like, was going to split it between me and my sister's husband that she's now divorced from. So we were going to do a 3-way split on a cow.
Jeez.
And then when they got divorced, he goes, well, I figured you wouldn't want it because he's gone now. And I'm like,
Gotta get the lawyers
I was like,
involved.
you brought him in. I just want some meat.
This is my deal, Jerry.
So when you say split a cow, you want to get it butchered and then you got the meat in the fridge.
Yeah, I just thought, at least we know what's going into this cow, right?
Pretty
I
good.
could
That's
get the
pretty good.
meat, and then my dad's he raises cows and then he buys meat from the grocery store. I'm like,
That is
That's
pretty
crazy.
pretty insane. He's in there. Larry, is that you?
Not to mention what he could have saved on apples.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and so and then I got I have a younger sister with my dad. My dad's been married 4 times.
Okay.
And his current wife, they've been married for 20 years. So
Pretty good. That's
Not
in there.
bad.
it gets longer each time, with the exception of my mom. That was the shortest to marry.
Where did
Sure.
she fall in the...
She was the second wife.
Second
Okay.
wife.
Second wife. Now, my mom came in with 2 kids, so I have 2 older sisters.
Okay.
So that brings a bit.
That's a
And
little bit of baggage, yeah.
My mom's got a lot going on, and so I can't picture my parents married to each other at
Sure.
all. It doesn't make sense. My mom's a real freewheeling kind of, she likes her freedom, and my dad's a real control freak, and I can't see them being married at all. And so I don't know how it worked. I don't know how,
Okay.
and it didn't work.
When you
didn't
were
work.
born, were you guys was the whole family living in the house on your dad's farm?
Yeah, we were all living in that house.
Okay.
And then they got divorced when I was 2 or 3. And in between that time, while they were married, they had like I forget that it was like an Oldsmobile. It was like I think it was called like a 98 Olds.
Yes,
but it
Okay.
was-
yes, the 98.
But it was in 1984.
Sure, I remember those.
So I was 21 months old, and my mom, it was a bench seats.
Mm-hmm.
My mom leaves me in a running car, no car seat. They said there wasn't car seats at the time. I don't know.
I mean, I think that's, yes.
But I wasn't strapped in either way. She left me in this running car, and apparently, I don't remember, but she went inside to do something, and I pulled the car down into drive.
Pulled a Ricky Bobby?
Yeah, and then I went. She left the car door open, and I went through a barbed wire fence, and then in between 2 trees that they said if I had hit the tree, I probably would have slammed into the
Yeah.
windshield. I went in between the trees. It closed the door. I went through another barbed wire fence, and then crashed the car in a pond.
Jesus.
What were your first words? Rubbin's racing.
I guess so. And well, my mom can't swim, and so she goes running down there. The car's sinking. She goes to the front door. The front door is already like locked,
pressurized. Yeah.
So she goes around to the other side of the car. That door's locked, and then she opens the back door, and she's like, "I'm just standing there, like pretty happy." And she pulls me out of there, and so that probably had something to do with the divorce. I mean, I don't know if it was the carelessness that my dad cared about so much, or if it was the
it was probably the Oldsmobile.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the nicest car my dad ever had, even to this day. Maybe
She left you in there in the middle of checking out. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I don't
Holy
even know
shit.
what she would have been doing. She said she was dropping off the mail, but I mean, it's like, what? Just keep the mail in the car.
What's going on here?
How long are you going to be gone?
All right. And what did your mom do for a living?
My mom, for a long time, worked for a company that made VHS tapes, a factory called Ampex.
Okay.
And they made a lot. They made the tape that goes inside of a VHS tape.
Gotcha.
So we all, they all thought they would retire from that company.
That was big, yeah.
And we were like probably the last family to get into DVDs. We were like,
course.
we're not destroying the family business here. Like one time I lived and my mom, when they got divorced, I moved into a trailer park with my mom and my other two sisters. And I remember a trailer, a double wide in the trailer park. They had gotten some laser disc.
Whoa.
And I went home talking to my mom about it, and she got real mad at me
course,
about
dude.
it. She was like, "Oh, you're always talking about all the stuff they have." And I'm like, you know what? I'm just a kid here, and I'm just obviously I don't say this, but I'm just a kid. I'm just telling you about things I see in
cool
my
shit
life.
that I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be mad at me. You know what I mean? I didn't invest in it.
Don't be
while I
mad
was
because they're
young.
cutting your hours back at the factory.
Yeah.
Because no one's buying VHS anymore.
Yeah, and thankfully Laserdisc didn't work.
Didn't
so
work
it's-
out.
So it stuck around.
They
for
were
a
the
while.
ones that were like the size of records.
Oh
They
yeah.
were real big, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, a big deal for the people that bought into it.
They loved it. I remember
Yeah.
a teacher of mine was pushing that on us real big. I was like, dude, that thing ain't fitting in my school bag. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like records are on the way out, and we're trying to bring in movie records.
Yeah,
It feels
silver
like something
records.
the record company was doing.
That are even more delicate than a record. It's like, it's
Yeah.
like a piece of glass.
So, so I moved in with my mom. They had joint custody, and then when I was 5, my dad married another lady.
And how close in proximity was the trailer and your dad's farm?
About 30 minutes away.
Okay.
And were you splitting time? Was it like
Every other
weekend?
weekend, I would go to my dad's house.
And how much older were your sisters on your mom's side?
My sister's there's 11 years old and 9 years old.
Okay. All right.
So my older sister is really like, she's at my house right now. She's been like a real mom figure in my life. She's like the most had it not been for her, who knows where I would be.
Okay. Yeah,
I
yeah.
would
be at the
be
bottom of a pond
in
somewhere.
a trailer park doing meth somewhere. She is she's
Shout
the
out to
only
it.
one that's felt like she really had it together, and she she took me to a bar with a boyfriend, and I got burned in the head with a cigarette, those sorts of things.
Normal stuff. Yeah.
So
yeah, yeah.
even that was
Real
like
mother figure.
yeah.
real single mother vibes.
Yeah. I mean, it's like all my family is so nice, and I don't ever think of them as like making all these bad decisions.
When
but,
you look back.
Yeah.
but truly, they were making a lot of
Yeah.
bad decisions.
I got a cigarette burn on my
Yeah.
hand, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was an
Yeah.
accident.
Yeah, but so I'm living in the trailer with my mom, and then my dad's married a lady with has 2 boys that are a little bit older than me.
Okay. And what was the school? Public school?
Public school I went to, yeah. My stepbrothers they
Public?
eventually.
What do you think? He was going to private
I'm
school?
just asking.
He was on the BB gun team. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Could have been homeschooled. I don't know.
Well,
He's at the bar smoking cigs.
My dad was sending my stepbrothers to private school.
See?
There you go.
They were going to, a local private school there in his county, which is a very small part. The movie Mississippi Burning, they filmed all the downtown scenes in my dad's hometown.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, because they wanted, in the 80s, they wanted a city that looked like the 50s.
Sure.
Or 60s. So I met Gene Hackman, actually, during that time. I have a video of me meeting Gene Hackman.
It's on Laserdisc.
Yeah. It's a video of my dad. It's me and my stepbrothers and my dad. And my dad, like, kind of pushes open the door where Gene Hackman is. And he's like, he's like, Gene, can I get you with my boys out here? And
what was it, a restaurant?
It was like, I guess.
Probably his hotel room.
I think it was a barber shop. They were filming.
Cut. Hold on a second now.
And my dad tries to come in, and he goes, Gene Hackman's like, no, I'll come out. And then he comes out, and my dad basically goes, Gene Hackman, like he's
Ladies and gentlemen.
supposed to do a little dance. And so Gene Hackman's just standing there. And
Gene, what are you working on these days, huh?
He's doing panel.
he looks at us, and he goes, ball players? And my stepbrothers are like, I am. And then you hear me go, I'm not.
Yes, and what are you doing?
Yeah, play along,
You're
Dusty.
killing the segment, Dusty.
and then Gene
This
Hackman.
guy's going to walk.
He does. He gives me the kind of like eyebrow raise of like, okay. And it's a very clear eyebrow raise of, I can't even do it. And
Also, as a kid, I just picture you right now, but smaller. That's how that's how I
just a
picture
little bitty me, high-pitched voice. I'm not.
Full beard, long hair, trucker hat.
And then Gene Hackman, goes, all right, and then goes back inside, and it was a big day. I've shared that video 10,000 times.
That's pretty awesome.
I wanted
great.
that to be my viral moment that never would be, and maybe
so
this
funny.
will make it there. I hope so. And so, and I was about 5 years old, and then when that happened, shortly after that,
Make the newspaper. What are you talking about?
It was a big deal.
It was a big
There
deal.
actually was, as I watch, my dad used to film everything. I have so many home videos.
Really?
That's
And
awesome.
He had this VHS tape. He would just go, and he would always do that to people. There would be these real old country people, and my dad would go, he'd go, move around, do something.
You got 10 seconds before I cut it.
Can't find any talent in this town.
He's like, this is not one of them still video camera. You can move around for mine. He was always like bragging about it, putting other people's cameras down.
Sure.
And
Was it the big one that
Oh,
went
yeah,
right into
big
the big
VHS.
newscaster?
Oh, yeah.
He's got Dusty's holding the boom mic.
and everybody
Probably thought he
hated
was a
it.
time traveler.
I mean, I get that my dad was in everybody's face with it.
Sure.
But everybody was so rude to my dad about it.
We're eating dinner here, Earl.
But now that all these old people in my family are like dying,
Yeah, it's great
I got
to see.
relatives reaching out to me going, hey, do you got any of your dad's videos of my mom or dad? And I'm like, yeah, but your mom's, being mean to my dad every time. I can show you this video of your mom going, get this out of my face.
Send over that Gene Hackman tape, will you?
Yeah.
Kip, this is Co-Pilot.
Shout out to the code.
Gang, if you're working out, stop settling for a boring treadmill run at the gym. Shake things up with Co-Pilot. Whether you like to work out at a rec center or you want to keep those reps at home, Co-Pilot is your personal fitness solution. The app links you with an affordable, real-life fitness coach who will customize your workouts made specifically for your needs and your goals.
Yeah. It's easy peasy when you don't want to get up and go to the gym. This is, it's better than just doing 4 setups and going, I call it a day. I know what I'm doing. They help you do it. They care you. If you're travel a lot, we're on the road a lot. I've done it in the hotel rooms. I'm up there. I'm shadow bombing. I'm taking care of things.
Fighting pillows.
The accountability factor makes Co-Pilot so amazing with regular progress check-ins, support, and guidance. No matter what your goal looks like, you're not alone, baby. Give Co-Pilot a try and find out why it was listed as Forbes, one of Forbes' top-rated personal trainer apps of 2023. Head to mycopilot.com/garbage to get a 14-day free trial and 20% off your first month of personalized fitness with your own personal trainer if you sign up before February 1st, 2024. You get it in. Do it before that date. That's mycopilot.com/garbage to get a free 14-day trial and 20% off your first month. Sign up for the new year and let Copilot help you reach your fitness goals, baby. Do it.
Kip, this is Fume.
Shout out to Fume,
Our
dog.
old friends at Fume. Been with us since Jump Street over there at Fume. Gang is finally quitting the nasty hand-to-mouth habit on your to-do list this year. If you're struggling to quit bad habits, it's time to check out Fume. Fume is an innovative, award-winning, flavored air device that totally turns your habit on its head.
Upside down.
Keep everything you've been doing take a step outside, fidgeting with your hands, getting a little break from the world, but the bad part of the habit is completely gone. That's because instead of vapor, Fume use flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is totally natural. Instead of harmful chemicals, Fume has delicious flavors.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They've been nice enough to send us it. It's easy peasy. It takes, it just gives you all of the same rituals, the same movements, the same habits, but it's not bad habits, it's good habits. Stick with the original or kick things up a notch with the new Solano Fume. Ooh. It's made with premium walnut barrel and onyx-coated mouthpiece for a slightly softer finish. Right now is the best time to start the good habit with Fume. All orders for the month of January have a buy one, get one Coors. So you can stock up on that for that New Year's resolution. Plus, Are You Garbage listeners get an extra 10% off when you use our code. Head to tryfume.com/garbage and use our code garbage for an additional 10% off. Plus, BOGO, buy one, get one Coors until January 31st to help make starting the good habit that much easier. Do it, gang. Now back to the show.
Back to the show.
But as I'm watching these videos, you see more and more people going, yeah, I went down there trying to find Gene Hackman. Apparently, Gene Hackman was like a heartthrob in some way.
Yeah, I could see that back in the day.
Back in the day, man.
I did watch the old Supermans, and they were pushing him as like a playboy in those.
As a playboy.
He's like Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man.
Sure. Okay.
So your dad did pretty well with the farm. Was he making good money?
Yeah, my dad sold insurance. He was an insurance salesman.
Okay,
so he had this real thing going. There was a truck, like a truck driving center. I don't know what you would call it, but it's like a truck driving company. So they had all these truck drivers. So my dad would just sit there. He sold Aflac, and you would sell these accident policies. So he would just sit there in the lobby and just sell accident policies to these truck drivers.
Like shooting fish in a barrel.
All day. He would win all these awards at Aflac and win all these
Film
trips.
the whole thing.
Yeah. My dad's he's been, to Canada and Hawaii and New York City. I mean, you would never think my dad would go to New York City, but it's like, he went with Aflac. He would win all these trips. He loves to tell this story. He went to Montreal, and these girls were walking real fast. And he goes, why are you walking so fast? And they're
chasing
like,
him with a camera.
they go, it's cold. My dad loves that story. That's one of his favorites.
That's a great dad story.
Right.
Yeah. And my dad, he did well with
He was
insurance.
doing well. Was your mom was doing well at the company she was working at?
Yeah, I mean, I think the factory was paying so well. I think that's why she left my dad. She was like, I don't need this BS. Let me get out of here.
Okay.
And how was the double wide?
Well, I was a single wide.
Okay.
We were a single wide, but it was good. I mean, I liked it. I had my mom was good. I was telling you that we always installed our carpets, but my mom was really like handy. Like in a trailer, they have these particle board floors, and over time, like the heat and the moisture will swell it up in parts. So then it'll get real thin in other places. So the floor will just fall through.
Yeah.
And my sister rented, and so they would just throw a piece of plywood over top of the whole. So you'd have this little trip hazard, this little 1-inch trip hazard. I watched my nephew. He was living in a trailer one time, and he was showing me something, and he had all these dogs. He had one.
Sounds like the worst place ever.
Hold on a second. He was living. How old is the kid?
He was, he's 10 years younger than me.
Yeah, so it's because if his sister's 11 years older.
My sister had a baby at 19, which is not bad for how he
good.
grew up. That's pretty good. And
late bloomer.
Yeah. I actually have a joke that I'm doing right now that I love, but I say I have kids now, and I wouldn't just do a joke on you like this, but I love this joke. And my sister, I have kids now, and I always try to get people to have kids because I like them. And I was telling my friend about it, and she was smoking a cigarette, and she was like, dang, I want to have a baby now too. She goes, but then again, if I get pregnant, I got to quit smoking. And I was like, well, I don't know. My sister smoked while she was pregnant, and it only took her 6 months to have a baby.
That's a good piece of business right there.
And that's one of my favorite jokes now, because it is so true. It is like,
she was cranking heaters during
obviously
pregnancy?
it's tragic at the time,
Sure.
but the kid lived. He's 30 years old.
Who
now.
was in the trailer with you? Was it just you and your mom? Or it was your sisters for a little while, but then they got their own?
Well, it was me and my two sisters and my mom for a while. My middle sister, she would go live with her dad sometimes.
Okay. All right.
Their dad was still in the picture a bit, and so she would go live with him. He was a bit of an alcoholic. I think he's sober now. He's a nice guy, but he's still not a good family guy.
Sure.
He knows he's a good farmer. He knows about canning. He'd tell you all about chickens. A line that I wanted to be a good joke. I say I learned everything I know about chickens from my sister's dad. And I like that because it's not my
good
dad,
math,
but
yeah.
the audience never appreciated it.
Sure.
They're like, yeah, we're all from split up families here. Okay.
Get over it, Dusty.
How many bedrooms was the trailer?
It's a 2-bedroom trailer.
So how does that break down?
Well, for
When
a long
the
time,
4 you were there.
I was a
On the couch,
couch guy.
yeah.
I was,
No kidding.
I was on the couch.
What
for a
age were we talking?
From about either 2 or 3, depending on who's telling the story, I guess, until 14 is when we moved out of the trailer. But, at some point, they did all move out, and I got my own room.
Okay.
You should have a book called Dusty Slay, Born to Crash.
Yes, that's true. I'm the original couch surfer.
How would that
Born into
break
it.
down at night? Like when did you go to bed? Were they just sitting there watching? You would just sleep? Was there any type of room?
Well, we would, a lot
Like
of times.
your identity in the living room? Like, did you have little posters on the wall or anything?
Well,
or were you,
I would have stuff just in the other rooms.
Okay.
And
Don't go in there and look at it. All right,
Like
yeah.
my mom worked third shift for a long time. My sister had moved out, and then my other sister and her boyfriend, who's now her husband, lived there. So,
Jesus Christ.
so
You guys are multiplying.
Crazy.
and my mom worked third shift, so I would sleep with my mom until she went to work. And then I would have the bed.
Okay.
But if I would wake up at night, then I would go get in the bed with my sister and her boyfriend.
Out
you know?
of scared, like fear?
Yeah, and so I just liked it. We were all tight. We were all buddies. And I was like,
Man, dude, that's crazy.
that's where I wanted to go to sleep anyway, but they were
Sure.
like, go sleep with your mom.
How old?
Were you in the middle between them or on the end?
We'd be everywhere.
I can't call it.
Well, I bought an.
It's like a bunch of cats.
Yeah,
Just walking in with a juice box. You guys doing some palling around?
You goofing?
I know. It had to be a real buzzkill for them at times.
yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I bought an army sleeping bag one time that had the little, had the little face hole.
Sure.
But I would sleep with my neck out of it. And my brother-in-law said I woke up one time. He said I don't remember it, so I think I was asleep. But I woke up in the night and I was like, help, help, and I was like trapped. My neck was trapped. We had an army.
I just picture your sister's boyfriend being like, "What is this kid's deal, man?" Fucking cock block of the year.
Were you on the floor or were you in the bed with them?
I was on the floor at that time.
Okay.
And my brother-in-law, he's from Michigan, and he had a pretty wealthy family. And his parents both worked at General Motors.
Okay, yeah.
My brother-in-law went to the University of Michigan. He's the only person with any education in the trailer at all. My mom didn't. My mom didn't go to college. Both my sisters dropped out of high school. I mean, it's like he's the only one with any kind of education. But because we were all dumb, we treated him like he was the idiot.
Turning around on you.
Right. Like, we're all dumb, but we are like hive mind dumbness.
Sure, yeah, you guys control the narrative.
Yeah. And like there was
Spin zone,
And there was
baby.
no internet back then, so you can't go look up. Like
man,
one
that's
time we spilled
Just gaslighting this dude into thinking he's crazy.
we spilled milk in the vent on the floor, and he goes, "Oh, it's going down the register," and we lost it. We made fun of him about register for so long because we didn't know that's what it was
Sure,
called.
yeah.
And we're like, what an idiot. This is a vent.
Yeah.
You see any money?
Yeah. And then my sister would cut his hair, and I remember one time she really she using the clippers and gave him a big gap all the way up the back. And we were laughing so much that she couldn't even fix his haircut. And this poor guy's he's trying to work a professional job, and he's got this big gap up the back of his hair.
What did he do?
Well, he actually.
And what did his family think? You said he came from he's a college educated guy. He's choosing to live in a trailer.
I
right?
don't
Is it
think they liked it.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you.
okay.
And
They
how
were-
long were they there? A few months, a year, 2 years?
He got an apartment he always had an apartment, but he would stay
Sometimes
with us
crash
all
with
the
you.
time.
Okay.
He
when
was
they
with
were
us
dating.
all the time.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But he had, had his own stuff at another place.
Why the hell didn't she stay at his place?
Well, eventually that's what happened.
But he probably had to be watched if your mom left at
guess so,
midnight
yeah.
or 11.
I really think he liked it. His family had money growing up, but they were like a colder family.
Sure.
And like we were like
You guys are all goofing around, sleeping
fun
together.
bunch
Yeah.
of redneck. He called us hillbillies. That was his. Redneck wasn't popular back then. He always called us hillbillies. And
I don't think he was wrong.
Yeah, no, but like one time he was like he wanted to order Chinese food, and apparently we made fun of him. Like we would only eat at Hardee's. Hardee's was Hardee's and Western Sizzlin was a night out.
Okay.
I mean, it was, and then like we were like, "What are you gonna go to China to get that?" That's how stupid we were. Like these were real thoughts to us. Like Chinese food in Alabama, grow up.
Why don't you go to the moon while you're at it?
Yeah.
Fucking Buzz Lightyear over here.
Why don't you slide down the register? Go get your Chinese food.
Okay.
Yikes.
And how was
Dude.
I think you're the first if I can recall through all the guests, I think you're the first guest to grow up in a trailer, correct?
I believe so.
Maybe so, I think I forget who, somebody
With
might have
25
stayed.
people in it,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
What was the trailer park community like? Were you spending a lot of time running around with the kids? Was there a pool? Was there
There was no pool.
Festivities going on at
yeah,
all?
we were hanging out. I mean, there was a lot of kids, and we have most of them I still talk to some degree.
Cool.
But some are dead, but most of them
it's
are
just numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Price of doing business.
but
Break a couple of eggs, you know what I mean?
but I do talk to a lot of them, and one guy. We nicknamed him Alarm Clock because he would always come down and knock on the door real early in the morning trying to get me to come out. And that's when my family...
Come out to play?
Yeah, he just
Okay.
wanted to play. And, we had a great time. He would always chew on his shirt.
Oh,
And
man,
he always
I know
had
those
a lot
kids.
of rips on the bottom of his shirt where he was like really tearing at it.
Sure.
Man, that's childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
You're trying to run from stuff.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
you're running out of the house at 5 a.m. eating your shirt.
Skipping breakfast. I'm going to go eat my shirt and talk to Dusty.
and then his sister was a lot older than him, and she was really pretty hot.
Uh-huh.
And I remember she lived next door to us for a little while, and she was married to this guy who like played at like a band and like the Holiday Inn or whatever locally. And I remember me and my buddy were outside one time, and we could hear them having sex in the bedroom from the outside.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh,
That's
yeah.
it.
Man.
I mean, because she was hot. And we
Yeah,
were
of
like,
course,
this is what
man.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But her son is my age.
Makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it?
And I talked about it on my podcast one time, that story, and he listens. And I didn't realize it at the time, and I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah,
He
it's
never
rough.
brought it up, but I'm
But
like,
we heard it.
yeah. And I was like, that was a real highlight. You hear some
course.
sex going on, you're like,
At
that's
a young
what I'm
age
talking
like
about.
that? Yeah.
What was the bike jump situation? Were you guys
Yeah,
riding?
what were the activities?
Oh,
Yeah.
100% bike jumping. I mean, we had, we had a lot of bricks and cement blocks laying around.
Put a piece of
Put
2x4.
Woods
board,
around
some
the-
tin, woods all over the place.
Okay.
Like in the back, we had just endless woods. I mean, they were not ours. I don't know who they belonged to, but everybody would hunt out there. Like all my family would come and they would hunt. We had no permission to be out there.
Just shooting.
We had a loose permission from a guy that was like, I don't care if you do it. Kind of thing, but we don't really know that he owned it.
Yeah, you know
What
no
were they
idea who
hunting
that guy
back there?
was.
Like, when you say
Deer.
your
Just
family would
hunting
come
deer.
over, your mom's side of the family would go over to the trailer
Yeah,
park.
my brother-in-laws would hunt, and my mom's boyfriends, they would come over and hunt.
What
And
are they hunting?
Are they walking deep out in there? They're just getting like 50
Oh, yeah,
yards
no,
in.
we're
and
going
shoot
way
from
out
the
in
kitchen?
there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
We're going way out in there, and then I also had I built a rope swing out there. Where you could
Nice.
swing at, and there was a creek.
Yes.
Nice.
And we love creek stuff.
Sure.
Getting tadpoles and little salamanders
Yep.
and crawfish out of the.
Shout out to Creek Living, baby.
Yeah.
They were
Creek
good
Living's
years
all
of your life, man.
It is so good.
12 years old with a creek and a couple of buddies.
Catch a nice rainstorm, that thing swells up a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean between my dad's farm and like the woods, we had some woods on the other side where they had a creek and then this big rock. We called it Big Rock because it was just and I tell people I still
Straight
back
shooter.
there. There's neighborhoods back there now, but the creek is still there and you have to just go out in there. And I take people sometimes. We'll just go through this neighborhood and then kind of drift off in the woods.
Yeah.
And I tell them it's called Big Rock. And every time they see it, they're like, "Whoa!" They're like, "I did not see this coming." I mean, this should be a national park, and now it's just some creek polluted by a neighborhood.
Damn.
Maybe a state park. I don't know. If
What were they hunting?
National Park's a big.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were they hunting? Deer?
Deer, all deer.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
And
grew
they
up
would-
eating a fair amount of deer meat?
I still eat it. My stepmom brings up deer meat. She don't hunt. I don't know where she's getting it. But she got some kind of deer meat connection.
Route 48.
Yeah. She just brings it up, and it'll be in all these, like, random meat bags, that say, like, not for sale, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Best Buy date on it, but there's no date written in.
Void if packaged individually.
But when I was 5, I was down hanging out at my grandmother's house. My grandmother had a house, and she lived, this is Alabama. She had no air conditioner. My whole life, she had no air conditioner. So it's like you go down there, it's 100 degrees. There's just an oscillating fan going around, just a whiff of slightly less hot air blowing on you. And my cousin and uncle lived next door. And they had my grandfather's old air rifle, and my cousin was like
The pump, yeah.
pumping it. I'm 5 years old. He's probably 7, 8. And I was like, I don't think you're supposed to be playing with that. And he's like, it's not loaded. And we were playing. I was like,
Famous last words.
I was being He-Man. He was being G.I. Joe, or I don't know.
He was being a dickhead.
Yeah. And I was like, I
Nice
have the
little crossover.
power. And then my cousin shot me in the chest with a BB gun at 5 years old. It went in my chest, through my lung.
What?
In my back. I went to the hospital.
Wait, what?
There was an exit wound. Jesus Christ.
No exit wound. It's still in me to this day.
Shit.
I'll get x-rays sometimes, and it's still
Sir,
in
you've
my...
been shot.
I got an MRI done one time, and they were like, do you have any shrapnel in your body? And I'm like, well, kind of. And I was like, and if this machine pulls this BB out, I want it.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. I'm putting it in a necklace, and I'm wearing this.
Through your chest, into your lung, through the lung?
Through the lung, and then it landed in my back, and I guess I stayed in the
Kid
hospital.
was a hell of a shot. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that.
I think he tried to kill me. And it was...
Did it hurt?
Yeah, I don't remember pain necessarily, but I remember like not being able to breathe.
Yeah, the panic.
Hey,
yeah.
He-Man.
And then, I mean, I always say, I was Adam, and had I made the full transition,
Would've bounced
it
right
would've
off,
bounced right off, but I never got to do it. The lightning didn't come down. But and the doctor, I guess, was like, we could do surgery and take it out, or you could just leave it in.
That doctor definitely had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
And my dad was like, just leave it in. Let's get out of here.
Did they fix the lung at all? Or does that heal itself back?
Yeah, I don't think they did anything. They just kind of
That's crazy,
monitored
dude.
Shake it
me.
off.
That's crazy.
And then I had an IV. I got video, obviously. Of
Buddy.
I mean, I'm in the hospital. I got a board on me so that I don't rip out the IV, and then I got all these IVs, and I'm in the bed, and my dad's videoing me going, do something. I'm not
Roll
making that
around.
out. My dad is like, move around. He's like telling me, I'm like, I'm in the hospital. You ever see the movie Butterfly Effect?
Yeah.
I wish that I could do that sometimes. I wish that I could butterfly effect back to all these videos and tell some people off. I would just like to wake up in the hospital bed as my full-grown mind and tell my dad, hey, I'm in the hospital.
Hey, jerk off. Put the
You
lens
can
cap
video me, but man, I'm not going to be moving around.
Dude, talk about built for the show.
Yeah.
on.
Nuts.
Crazy.
This is like we're the Yankees in the 80s, and there's a guy named Dusty Slay throwing 102 down in Cuba. Like, we got to get him in
Gotta
here.
get him.
Wow.
And, so it's like, and then after that, my stepmom would always fix my meals at my dad's house, and I kept coming home to my mom's house, and I would be sick. And my mom still to this day thinks my stepmom was poisoning me and my dad and there's no proof, and I'm not alleging that she was.
For comedy purposes, we're bringing this up.
But my mom, she's told me, she said, I want you to start fixing your own plate. And I started doing it, and I stopped getting sick.
Whoa.
So I don't know if she was trying to kill us.
Did he divorce her, too?
She left him, too. I mean, that's, my dad,
Was there, I guess there was probably a little bit of cash and or land she could have got her hands on.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and my dad.
She left because neither one of you would die?
These hillbillies.
Sons of bitches.
This is a He-Man hillbilly we got over here.
He's drinking Freon like Mountain Dew.
Lady, I got a slug in my right lung. You got your work cut out for you.
You need a little more than antifreeze to get me.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I don't know.
Crazy.
He's like, they just won't die.
I tried to do it the illegal. I'm just going to file for divorce.
Whoa.
Those slave boys are fortified.
What was the, do you have any formal education? What are we talking about here?
Make it sound like we just pulled him out of a hole.
Well, I did graduate high school. I will say I was the first of my
siblings,
mom's kids to graduate high school.
Nice.
So it was a big deal.
And your mom graduated high school?
My mom graduated.
Okay.
My dad graduated. My dad did some college.
Yeah, I mean,
there you go.
That's pretty. I mean, he's a fucking leader of Aflac. He's doing all right.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, having a guy that went to the University of Michigan in your house really brings the bar up.
It really did.
It does.
I will be honest. I mean, I give a lot of credit to my brother-in-law. I mean, my accent, when you listen to me as a kid, I have a Southern accent now, but when you hear me as a kid, you're
rough.
like, at the end of my special, I have a little video.
I was going to say you need to
Yeah, you
incorporate
gotta
those
have that in
videos
there.
moving further. So funny.
I put
The
a
idea
little,
of them.
because I have a joke about, my dad in this ditch and killing a frog and stuff like that. And but at the end,
Normal
Just,
stuff.
just breeze right past that. Call it Tuesday.
well, my dad, when I was a little kid, I remember my dad had a pool. My dad had to put in
Above ground or in ground?
in ground.
What?
This is when he married this third wife.
Okay.
Not his current wife, but the third wife. He was really trying to up his game. He remodeled his house. He was really like trying to be uppity,
And your now new stepmoms, are they more housewives, or are they working, or are they?
Well, my stepmom works. My new stepmom is a real saint of a lady. I mean, and I'm not just trying to trash my dad here, but I do think that, the only reason this 20-year thing has happened is because of this lady. I mean, she's a real saint of a woman, just a real strong country lady. And she's just like, you could tell my dad's beating her down emotionally.
Sure.
But she's hanging in there.
Okay.
And then I have a younger sister that by my dad and my stepmom, and so I always like to say my younger sister not related to my older sisters. I always think that's
there's a lot of
fun.
asterisks with your family.
Yeah. And then my middle sister, the one that's 9 years older than me, she married a guy that she's been married for, I don't know, maybe 30 years. They've been married a long time, which is amazing. And she's the one that smoked while she was pregnant, probably both of her kids. And they're fine, though.
Yeah.
They're all tough, you know what I mean?
Can't poison them either.
Yeah, now they all vape, you know what I mean? So
they're back on it.
Yeah. One of my nephews just started vaping. I always thought everybody used vape to quit cigarettes.
Cigs. No, the younger kids are just vaping.
Yeah, it blows my mind. I'm
Crazy.
Like, well, you're just getting to know. You didn't even do the cool thing
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the cigarettes.
I kind of resent that. I'm like, you gotta fly a little too close to the sun and then peel it back and start vaping.
Yeah, you got to do the cigarette so you can feel like the vape is healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got a friend. He still tells me that the vape saved his life. So I don't know. His Instagram is devoted to vape.
Really?
He loves it.
Huh.
He's a big vape guy.
What was school like? What was like?
I can't believe we're only at school
it's
so
crazy.
far. You gotta come back every time you're in New York. We do it 9
I'd love to. This
every
is very
3
fun.
days.
Yeah.
we need you back.
Well, school was great. I loved.
How far away was it? How did you get there? Who was packing your lunch?
Well, when I was growing up, until we moved, living in the trailer, it was.
When was the move to?
When I was 14.
Your mom moved into a house.
Yes.
Okay.
I moved just before I got a learner's license, learner's permit, which was like at the time the greatest thing in the world, because I was always ashamed that I had the ad, and I don't know why, but I guess you're just a kid and it's like, I was always ashamed that my address was Lot 8 Moore's Trailer Park, right? If I just lived in a trailer on some land, then it would be, 4250 County Road.
Sure.
Right.
But because I had Lot 8 Moore's Trailer Park, it was like everybody knows I'm poor.
Yeah.
So I didn't want, because when you get your driver's license, everybody wants to see. They're like, oh, let's see your license. And then your address is right there. So I moved
Some P.O. box.
just in time. yeah, exactly.
It's a little place I keep.
Yeah. I got a couple places,
Come by on the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then school was, 15 minutes away. It wasn't too, but I was.
School bus?
Bus would come to the trailer park. Everybody hop on.
I would do the bus. I did, I do a little of both. My mom worked third shift, so.
Oh, okay.
So for a while, it was like, I get up, I get on the bus, and my mom comes home, sleeps, and then she picks me up from school.
Okay.
And we had the old alarm clock, that mank, mank, mank. And my mom would always know that when she showed up, if she could hear that alarm clock, then it meant I missed the bus.
Really?
And so she would come in mad because she's like, all right, now I gotta drive you, and I'm not gonna get sleep. But yeah, we had my bus stop. I lived like on the cusp. I could have gone to the more country school, Beauregard.
More country.
Yeah, or I went to Opelika High School, which is like the city school.
How big of a class?
It's literally called like a high school. It's like, it's kind of.
That's funny. That's very funny.
Toby's great with wordplay.
Yeah. Opelika, is the full name of the town, but that's very funny. I've never heard that. Like a high school. It's like a high school. Well, I think our high school was pretty good for the area. Now, I grew up right next to Auburn University, so Auburn High was always the rival. They were always the fancy school, but in our county was 4 schools. So there was 2. There was Beulah, Beauregard. Beulah was always kind of like the methy school.
Gotcha.
Beauregard was real redneck. Opelika was a little redneck, little ghetto. We kind of had a
Little mix.
Yeah, we had a vibe about
More
us.
eclectic.
Yeah, we had a better football team.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We were good.
That's all that matters, baby.
Yeah.
Put them points up, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. And how big of a was your graduating class? Do you remember?
I don't know. I feel like I would be off. I feel like 200, 300 people.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's
yeah.
a good size school.
It wasn't like some of the country schools, like where my stepbrothers went to school. It was like, you had one class.
It was like 32 people.
30, maybe 20 people, and that was kindergarten through 12th grade. You would be with those same kids.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We had a, we had
a proper
Pretty
school.
traditional.
Yeah, we had a, but it, I got one time when I was a senior in high school. I got let's go middle school. There was a girl. I had this fake hand for Halloween, and I was playing with it, and she was a real big girl. I never like to say her name because I'm still afraid of her. And she took the hand from me and stole it. And then I went to get it back, and she pinched my hand when I tried to get it, and I pushed her head a little bit. And then she comes back. The teacher's out of the room, and she stabbed me 3 times with a pencil.
Jesus.
I jumped in the corner. I was trapped, and she was just stabbing me. And then the whole class saw it. And then when the teacher came back, I just stood up and I go, she just stabbed me.
Your Honor.
I was like, I'm not. And then I got a day of in-school suspension because I pushed her head, and I never saw her again.
No shit.
And I'm terrified of her, so I'll never use her name. But
She's out there looking for you.
yeah.
With the fake hand.
She's watching right now.
You're getting shivved at Opelika. What was that other school like, dude?
Well, they were the country schools, so I don't know. They were just doing meth and mudding.
Good Lord.
And
would you buy your lunch at school, or would you pack a lunch?
we'd do a little bit of both. I would buy a lunch and I would pack a lunch.
And what was the grocery store that your mom went to?
Well, we would go like a Piggly Wiggly or
Okay.
like a Winn-Dixie. Those were kind of some southern grocery stores. At the
And
time.
how was the nutrition? What were you eating?
Terrible nutrition.
Okay.
I
had a feeling.
I really do think I have acid reflux to this day. And
Sure. Hey, me too, baby.
And I think it's due to just one thing that I'm mad about my
You
dad
eat
about
that much bologna.
Yeah. My dad bulldozed all those apple trees, and I think
I haven't seen an apple since.
when I was a kid, I think those apple trees were the only nutrition I got.
Sure.
I would just be eating, it's like nowadays we call those organic apples, but back then they were just apples.
Yeah.
He had plum trees, pear trees,
Really?
figs, wild blackberries. That's where I was getting all my
Did
nutrition.
he get rid of all that? Or did he just the apple trees?
Just the apple. The pear tree's still there. He got rid of the plum tree, and then he had 2 fig trees.
That's awesome.
And the fig, just recently, had one fig tree's giant, and one was real small. And I go, why do you think that small one never got big like the other one? He goes, I don't know. Next time I'm there, the small fig tree, he's killed it and gotten rid of it. I was like, I didn't mean for you to kill.
I wasn't
producing.
telling you to fucking whack them off.
Yeah, it's producing figs. I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, I used to eat, cereal was mainly what I would eat. I love cereal. I never had to do the bag. We would spring for the cereal.
Sugar cereal?
Sugar cereals, Fruity Pebbles, Sugar Smacks, Corn Pops.
Wonder Bread?
No Wonder Bread. We were just doing regular old white bread. Back then bread would mold.
Sure.
Bread really never molds now. I don't know what's going on.
It's got a longer shelf life.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
we would just pick the mold off,
Yeah.
and eat around the bread. A lot of grilled cheeses with American cheese. One of me and my
Kraft
sister,
single slices?
Kraft singles,
Yeah,
yeah.
shout
Okay.
out to it.
One of me and my sister's favorite thing, where you take a bowl and then you break up some Kraft cheese and you put a little margarine in there and then put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds. It makes a delicious cheese dip. It's so good. Eat it with some Lay's.
A little hillbilly queso.
That ain't bad.
It's the best that it's so good.
You started off, I was like, where the fuck is he going with this?
We'd have to put that in the cookbook.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
I already thought Dusty Slay's cheese fondue. Hillbilly fondue.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And
And what are you dipping in there?
Just
Crackers?
Lay's chips,
Lay's
like
chips.
Ruffles. You want a Ruffle so you got a
Whoa.
thickness to it.
All
A
right.
little structure.
Yeah. It needs to be able to hold that cheese.
Yeah, it's a dense cheese.
And you have to. Yeah, it is. And
I'm not
it's,
talking to a pussy Parmesan over here.
Yeah. And then sometimes we would do, this is before I came along, my sister always tells me that my mom and my 2 sisters but in between those marriages, they said they were real poor, right? Like, they were like, I was spoiled to them.
To them, yeah.
But they were talking about being real poor. So a thing they used to do, and we would do this sometimes, we would fry up bacon and then eat that with the cornflakes. You eat cornflakes and then eat the bacon. And it's
Like milk, like a bowl of cereal
yeah,
or
a bowl
just dry?
of cereal. And then you just kind of have a side of bacon that you're eating with it. And weirdly delicious.
I can
could
see
see-
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, a little kind of salty and a little
Savory,
sweet.
Yeah.
sweet type thing.
And and then we had this. My mom would do this canned roast beef kind of thing, where it's like easily you could do it in a crock pot. But open the can, it's got the meat, and then we put toast and put the meat on it, kind of like an open-faced
Roast beef
roast
sandwich.
beef. We do canned roast beef. We do salmon patties sometimes, where do canned salmon, make a little salmon cake, fry it up on the pan.
I don't even think I've ever seen canned.
I didn't know that salmon was a real fish until I was in my 20s and I moved to Charleston, South Carolina.
to actually see it in fish form.
Yeah,
you
and
mean.
I worked at a restaurant and I was like, whoa.
This ain't even in a can.
I mean, I was such an idiot. I was like,
Chef, let me show you this cheese dip real quick. You want to get this on the menu.
You got 30 seconds?
my whole 20s was like, I was such a drinker, such a weird alcoholic, just idiot, that it took me my whole 20s to like gain any level of sophistication whatsoever. And I was just I would black out. I was just such a dumb.
I'm kind of right there with you.
Yeah.
It was when I turned 30, I kind of was like, oh, things are happening outside of this.
How
Yeah.
old were you the first time you got drunk?
I was 16, I think, which is late for
Yeah.
I had some drinks here and there with,
Dude, 2 a day. I was
Cocktail
driving.
every once in a while.
My mom dated a guy. My mom always dated these guys that were like alcoholics. They were never like, I always thought they were fun. They always looked like fun people, but they were always drinking, you know. But they could do things. Like I remember one alcoholic boyfriend built a front porch for us at the trailer. And it's like they were all, you know, they always just seemed fun.
Yeah. Well, I think as my family is very similar of like fun drunks, and then as they get older, it gets less and less fun. When you're in your 20s and 30s and you're like, hey, we're drinking beers, building a deck. Here, have one, Dusty. But when you start hitting 50, it gets a little gloomy.
Yeah, you're right. I was doing comedy in Johnson City, Tennessee one time, and these people, it was only 10 people in the club, and this was years ago, and these people, they've like in their 50s, they were so drunk, and they got real hostile with me, like so much so that the manager of the club, I watched him kind of back out of the room. He's like, I'm not dealing with this.
Man, that sucks.
And then after the show, I saw them leave. This club was in a hotel. I saw them leave and like trip and fall over the trash can outside, and they're like in their 50s.
Yeah.
And I was so mad at them, but then when I saw them, I was like, I just feel bad for you now.
Drunk idiots, yep.
It's just like, this was your night out, huh? What'd you do last night? I went to a club. It was great. Had a great time.
Fell into the trash.
Yeah, we
Fell
had
to a dumpster.
Yeah.
Any vacations growing up?
A little bit. I remember going to Disney World with my dad and my stepmom and my brothers. We did that. But mainly we would go to like Gatlinburg, Tennessee. That was my uncle, my mom's brother worked in the hotel business. So we would kind of vacation wherever he was working.
Gotcha.
Because he would get us a free room.
Get a deal. Okay.
So he worked in Decatur, Alabama for a while.
Okay.
Which is where my sister and brother-in-law met, the University of Michigan guy. He was coming down from Michigan to go to Atlanta. He was thinking of moving to Atlanta. And he met my sister at this hotel, and then they started dating.
When you guys were on one of your vacations?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Man.
Wow, that's wild.
Talk about fate.
Yeah. And I remember this vacation in Decatur. I think all we did was go to the hotel.
You're just hanging at the hotel.
Yeah, we went to the hotel, and they had a pool that was like indoor and outdoor that you could swim under the thing.
Somebody
that's
just told
all
us
you
about one
need,
of those.
baby.
Yeah, and it was just like, I just remember that. It was just like, this is, I remember just playing in that pool.
Yeah. A hotel pool at age 8, 9, 10.
Yeah,
Forget about it.
It was amazing. And then, but my uncle then started, I remember he worked at a hotel in Nashville. And then he worked in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, and so we would go there a bunch. That would be the spot. I remember going to Dollywood. I saw Toby Keith at Opryland in Nashville.
It's like seeing the Pope at the Vatican.
How old were you?
I was, I don't know, maybe 10 or so. My mom was a huge Toby Keith. She was in the fan club.
That was at the height of his success.
My mom also had a VHS camcorder. She didn't film as much. But I got a video. She's filming all the Christmas ornaments. We had one of those big old TVs, the wooden with a TV in the bottom. And on the top, she had a Christmas village.
Yep.
Nice.
With the snow. And,
the little houses.
Balls and stuff.
Yeah, and then she was filming it. And then she filmed this bookshelf of all these Santa Claus ornaments. And then she zooms in, and it's a picture of Toby Keith in a turtleneck framed in amongst the Santa Clauses.
You know, it was fun when you put a couple Matchbox cars in those little villages.
Oh, yeah.
You get to
G.I.
drive
Joe or
around.
something.
Woo, it's all right.
Do a bank heist.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, man.
How are the grades?
Grades were good. I mean, I was an A-B student.
SATs, do you take them?
I didn't take. I was A-B until high school, and then I was C's.
Okay.
But I never failed anything. I almost failed Spanish class, but, that was,
That happens.
My
That was
teacher
mostly
was
accent related.
yeah, exactly. And my teacher was pregnant and left halfway through the year.
That's a mulligan right there.
The teacher's not even committed to it. It's like, come on.
Yeah, what do you want from me?
Yeah. And but yeah, college prep was not on anybody's mind. Like
You weren't going to college.
Well, my parents wanted me to go to college, but they weren't doing anything to help me. And nobody was helping me prepare. And maybe that's happening to a lot of people. I don't know. But I just know my friends were like, are you taking the SAT? You taking the ACT? And I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, oh, it costs $50 or whatever. And I go, oh, definitely not.
Yeah. It's gonna be a hard no from the slave camp over here.
And
$50.
Saying shit like, guys, VHS ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're set.
And I did go to a community college I went for 2 days. I signed up. I I mainly was, it's like I had in high school. It's like you're in these rooms and you got all these attractive women around you all the time, and you're like, this is amazing. I like school a lot. I like going. I didn't skip school a lot because I liked being there. It was like I got to be in this room with a captive audience that I got to make laugh.
You're doing
and there
bits,
were girls,
riffing.
yeah, and there are girls in there, and I'm like, this is great. And then suddenly I'm out of high school and I'm just getting high with my buddies all day, and I'm like, where are the women?
Where are those broads at?
So I signed up for community college, and I had to take like and I was a pretty good student, but I had to take like a test to find out where you were at or whatever, and I ended up like taking like some kind of like lower level math and English.
Sure.
And I got in there, and there were no girls in my classes at all. And I was like, this is not the college experience.
Party's lame. I'm out of here.
And I did each class one time. They were on different days. I did, and then I was like, all right, I'm out of there.
You went to community college for 2 days of scope for chicks. It was beat, and you got out of there.
Yeah.
I respect
Yeah.
it.
That's chess right
Yeah,
there,
this party's
baby.
lame, dude.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but it ain't going to be this path.
Yeah. And then you moved to Charleston?
And then, then I hung around. After that, I bought my childhood trailer back. My sister moved into it when we moved out, and then she traded it in for another trailer, which apparently you can do that. And because trailers have registration like a car, So the trailer, I went to the trailer company.
You're racing houses for pink slips?
Yeah. And
Whoever can build this deck fast enough gets the trailer.
And I offered to buy it from them, and they said they would sell it to me for $1,000. And looking back, if I had any negotiation skills, I bet I could have got it way down.
400.
Yeah, they didn't even want to deal with it.
Yeah.
The 1,000 was the first price, and it was so low. I was like, oh yeah, I'll take
Listen,
this.
I'll do 1,200.
Yeah, it's kind of like comedy. I feel like they must have thought this too, where like you like a gig, you say, I'll do it for this much money, and the place goes, okay, and you go, dang, should have asked for more.
Shit. Yeah.
I feel like that's what the trailer company did. They go, $1,000. I go, I'll take it. They're like, dang, I could have got more out of this guy.
Both walking away.
So I moved back into that trailer.
On what property?
It's still in the trailer park. It was just
okay.
still sitting there. I think that was part of it for them. They were like, we don't want to move this trailer. We don't want to deal with this
So a
trailer.
different plot than you grew up on.
Same
exact spot.
Never
with the
moved.
deck.
Still lot 8. Yeah,
Gotcha.
the deck.
Gotcha.
Actually, my sister lived next door to us for a long time, and they had built a deck. And so we moved that deck from off that to our back porch. So we had deck on both sides.
That's crazy.
We kinda
Double deck.
Kind of stole the deck from a rental trailer.
And how old are you at this time?
I'm 19.
And what are you doing for work?
Well, I was working at Western Sizzlin', waiting tables.
Okay.
And I went to the Army recruiter's office, and I joined the Army. I went and I said, I'm going to join the Army. And then I went through my physical. I went to Montgomery, the capital of Alabama, did the whole thing. I got kind of like a loose swearing in. They say you're kind of being sworn in, but you don't get officially sworn in until you go to boot camp.
Okay.
So I got my, boot camp. I got all that, and then I got back, and then, I was smoking a lot of weed at the time. So my recruiter,
Yeah, you were, Dusty.
yeah, my recruiter.
His real name's Alan.
So my
You got so high you wound up in the Navy.
well, it is true. I was high at Western Sizzlin'. And this guy started telling me how great the Army was. And so I left work that day and went to the recruiter's office. And my recruiter was trying to figure out how much weed I was smoking, trying to figure out how to help me get clean, and telling me, all the lies to tell the Army so that I could get
those
in.
recruiters.
Yeah, they're like teaching me to lie to the government to get into the government. And so I did it. I did all that. And then when I got home from, the whatever
Loose
you call
swearing.
Yes. My recruiter goes, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but he goes, I know you like to smoke weed. And he's like, you're going to get shipped off in 30 days. So if you want to smoke weed, do it tonight. So I went out, and that night I got arrested for weed and underage consumption of alcohol. And so my ship-off date came after my court date came after my ship-off date. So I couldn't get shipped off. So I could have went still instead of probation, but I would have lost all my bonuses and all that stuff. So I just decided not to go to the Army. And so I had and I was supposed to get shipped off in August of 2001. So I would have been in boot camp when September 11th happened. So I was like so happy that I didn't go. And then so I lost my license for 9 months, and I got 2 years unsupervised probation, which means I didn't have to take drug test. But so the next 9 months, I just sat in this trailer and, did drugs with my buddies and worked at Office Depot. I had this nice.
You quit the restaurant job?
I quit the restaurant job to go to
join
the
the
army.
army.
The army,
I was
yeah.
like, there was this girl this is like the most embarrassing time of my life. I even had,
Sounds like the coolest, dude. What are you talking
well,
about?
I had this girl that I really liked, and I'm like acting like, I'm like, don't get married while I'm in the army, like I didn't have the
sure.
balls to ask her out, but I was doing everything I could do to get her to be like, I want to be with you.
Call that playing the zone defense.
I'll be back for you when I get back from Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, I was.
You walk back in, sock him a burnout.
And it was so
I
embarrassing.
never even talked to the army.
You come back and tell you're a Green Beret.
Like, I didn't get in, said I was too strong.
They wanted to keep it a fair fight. Dusty.
Yeah.
It's nuts, dude.
I love it.
It's so embarrassing. I just think of the things that I said to that girl.
Everybody has that.
Yeah.
She probably
everybody.
liked me.
And you just couldn't
I look
pull
back
the
and
trigger.
I think she was like, in my mind, I'm thinking she's like, if you would just ask me out on a date,
He's probably
I would-
naked in your bed. Put
Yeah.
some clothes on, will you?
I would say yes if you would just ask me.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, I'm like, I've given her songs on a mixtape. I'm like, it's the most embarrassing time of my life. And it was 20 years ago, and I wish it never happened.
Sure. I know it very well,
Yeah,
my
of
friend.
course.
But so I lost my license, but I had a job at Office Depot, and I couldn't get to work. So I had this buddy, and he got kicked out of his parents' house. Now my trailer was paid off. My lot rent was $120 a month. So my friend
That's
was
pretty
like,
good.
my friend was like, if you let me live with you for free, I'll give you a ride to work every day. And
Okay.
and I was like, you know what, I need that. And I said, so we worked it out. And I was like, but we can't be messing around here. This is,
No goofing around.
You're my live-in driver.
yeah, if this is our deal, I don't want to come out of work and you not be there.
Yeah.
So it was cool. He had this Isuzu Rodeo. He had these 17-inch rims with a system. So every day at work, I got picked up by this guy in a really cool-looking car, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
He
And
would
then
pick you up and drop you off every day.
every day.
That
And
guy's
he-
getting free rent. That's his job.
and he sold weed, right? So my deal with him was, I was like, you can sell weed out of my trailer, but you got to smoke with me for free. So he would pick me up from work with
Sounds like the greatest setup ever.
with like
dude.
a blunt, and I would get in and we would get high on the way home, and it was awesome. And a lot of my friends didn't really want to buy a bag of weed. They just wanted to get high. So they would come over, and this guy had worked out a system where people would just give him like $5
to sit around and smoke a blunt.
and then
or
he would
whatever.
just roll a bunch of blunts, and we would all just sit there and play, PlayStation 2 and get high, and it was like a really great time. And it's like, I think about it sometimes, and I'm like, this cop that arrested me, and I'm not mad at all cops, but this cop arrested me, and he was such a prick about it. Like, he was like, in his mind, I'm stopping a drug addict. But what he did was he stopped me from going to the Army, where I potentially would have changed
Sure.
my life, and instead sat in a trailer for the next 2 years doing drugs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I also ended up being a comedian, and things are going well.
Yeah.
so
Sure.
I'm happy for it. But,
I mean,
That is a tale.
we're at 19 years old.
Yeah.
but it was such a great time. It was like, I look back on that, and I just think.
Those years are great.
I remember one time we had this Tekken Tag tournament. I had all these buddies over at my trailer. The doors are open. We're all smoking weed and cigarettes. I mean, there's just smoke everywhere in there. It's just a mess. And we're just hanging. I'm like, this was such a great time.
Yeah.
It got a little darker. We got in, to various drugs here and there. And then I was
Like, what are we talking, if you don't
well,
mind sharing?
I don't know. I never really talk about it. I feel like I talk about a lot of, I've just now put out this special where I had like 8 minutes of weed jokes. And it's the first time I really hit some realistic weed jokes. And I'm like 41 years old, and I'm still like, feeling out my dad on it. I'm like, hey,
Okay,
what'd you
of
think
course,
of the
yeah.
special? You know, and but you know, we just got you got into some typical Alabama drugs.
Gotcha.
Sure. Like
Sure.
and that and actually it wasn't really
Gasoline and moonshine, baby.
it wasn't really that.
Hey, what do we tap dancing around here?
It wasn't really that dark for me, to be honest. I had a blast.
Sure.
It was
Pretty much ruled.
Hey, he ain't lying.
But we would drink a lot too. We would.
course.
I remember I had a buddy. His name was John, and he would go to jail. It never was.
Okay.
We never were real clear on why he was going to jail. He was such a good, nice guy, but he would just, I think he got in trouble one time, and then he just kept violating his probation, and then he would just disappear for a while. And I remember he wrote me a letter from jail one time talking about how when he got out, he's like, I want to change. I don't want to be smoking weed. I don't want to be drinking. And then he got out of jail, came to my house. And my other buddy, who just, he's still my friend, but just kind of a real prick move, was like, just lights up a blunt. Because my friend wanted to change his life. He was like, oh, we're still living like this. And then we ended up getting drunk and high. My buddy, who's like, wanted to change his life, that night we're drunk. We're out in the yard. We got grass up to our knees. We're getting eat up by all kind of different insects, and we're shooting each other with the BB gun out there. It's like you've been out of prison for a day.
Yeah, this is where we've ended up.
Yeah. And I think he's okay. I think he's doing okay. He messages me on Facebook sometimes. I think he's okay. But it's like a lot of these guys are like my friends, and I want to get together with them, but I don't drink anymore. And I'm like, you know what? I don't need my life's going well. I got my wife, I got kids.
You don't want to end up in the high grass shooting each other.
Yeah, I don't need to dance with the devil.
Yeah. I don't really need that in my life. But my license was suspended for 2 years or 9 months, and I was on probation for 2 years. And then once I got off probation, that's when I moved to Charleston. I sold the trailer.
Okay.
And moved to
What'd you get for the
Charleston.
trailer?
I got $2,500.
Whoa!
Let's go.
Yeah, I flipped it.
Alabama real estate
Yes.
mogul.
Fucking tycoon
Yeah,
over here.
Let's go.
I flipped it. My brother-in-law, who was the Michigan...
Took the one porch with you?
Yeah, he was the Michigan grad. He worked for a company called Craft Made Cabinets. And this was at a time when, companies were just booming. And, so if somebody... These are very expensive cabinets. So if somebody would order and get the wrong color, it would just sit at a Lowe's store.
Right.
So my brother-in-law took me to a Lowe's, and we picked up one of those sets of... The cabinets were probably $2,000 cabinets, and we put in this $1,000 trailer. And it was sweet. Oh, I meant to tell you, I don't know how I got sidetracked, but the particle board thing with the holes in the floor, my mom would rip all that out and put in new plywood. So this trailer, it had great flooring in it, and we would install...
Good cabinets.
Good cabinets. I mean, it was... On the outside, it looked really bad. A lot of kind of mold on it.
Sure, mildew.
But on the inside, it was pretty...
That's good. Keep the burglars away.
It was, it was actually very good, but I found some pictures of me drinking with my buddies in there, and there was this one wall where it's like bare sheetrock, but you know how sheetrock has a little paper on it, and it looked like all the paper was
Had been
ripped off.
So it's just
And we had a lamp kind of hanging on a nail up there, and I'm like, I really thought my trailer looked good, but it was
at the time, yeah.
This was the worst wall in the place, but we got a lot of... But you know what? It's the beauty of women is they're just such nice people that I was still having girlfriends, even living in this filth as some weird no driver's license alcoholic.
You had a weed connect.
Yeah. You had a chauffeur. What are you talking
still
about?
had pretty women that would date me, and I'm like, this is great. Women are such nice people.
Man. I mean,
Dusty Slay.
a home run.
A home run.
I think which we've never done, which we should just do, we have to have a part 2 next time you're in New York.
Yes.
Well,
And
I would love to.
We'll do the from age 19 on.
Yeah, we
Because
want to
there's
hear
still
the
so
come up
much,
and all
yeah.
that stuff.
This is so fun. You guys just let me tell you about myself, and
You let us make fun of it. It's
you
a
have
perfect combo.
nice studio. Your studio is definitely not garbage.
No. Shout out to Patreon.
Yeah. And it's, I appreciate you guys.
Thank
This
you,
is a lot
buddy.
of fun.
Buddy, we can't thank you enough
Yeah.
for coming in. Gang, the special is Working Man. It is out on Netflix right now. It's in the top 10. Do yourself a favor. Get over there and check it out. Dusty, anything else you want the folks out there to know?
Website, dates,
Well,
anything.
all my social media is at Dusty Slay. My website is dustyslay.com. And so everything's there. I have a YouTube is fun. I put a lot of content on YouTube, a lot of stuff on Instagram. Those are my two favorites. I mean, I'm on all of them, but those are my two favorites. But, so I'm active there, and I will comment back if you say nasty things about me. My wife tells me I got to stop doing it, but
I respect it.
but I can't stop. And I try to not be, really, nasty because I don't want to make myself look bad, but I do try to get witty with it and just be like, why are you being mean to me? Like this one guy just commented on
Dale. Yeah,
Man, you can take a guy out of the tall grass. Take a tall grass out of
and
the guy.
he's like, well, it's funny that he said this now that I'm on this podcast. He goes, this special was literally garbage. And then he goes, I had to turn it off after 6 minutes. And I just was like, why are you watching garbage for 6
Yeah,
minutes?
if you didn't
You know
like
what I
it,
mean?
yeah,
Have
yeah,
some
yeah.
respect for yourself.
Top 10 on Netflix, baby. How about that,
Numbers
huh?
don't lie.
Yeah.
But then the guy starts lecturing me. He's like, oh, you have a Netflix and I don't. Just laugh about the comment. I'm like, you just said really mean things about me.
I'm
And
still
now
a
you're
human
like,
being.
hey, dude, don't be reading these.
You know what I had to go through to get to this?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Buddy, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You got to come back.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you,
man.
guys. I
We
would
got to
love
have you
to.
back.
Next time you're in town, for sure.
We love it, man. Kippy, what do you got for him?
We are planning the 2024 tour. The only date on sale right now is New York City Town Hall on May 9th. Get your tickets. They're moving quick, and the AYG card game all available at RUGarbage.com. We love you, gang.
Dusty, we love you, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much
I
for
love
coming
you
in.
guys. I appreciate you having me.
Gang, we love you, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.